The Early Line with Mario and Musso. Mario and Musso have your early line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I mean, we're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
A good Thursday afternoon. Welcome in, Matt Musso alongside Mario Jerez. We have your early line. Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp along for the ride on the audio and video boards. Well, Mario, how you doing today, sir?
Well, Musso, it was another rough night for my picks in the NBA playoffs.
But
Hornets got killed by the Hawks. My props went 1-2. Haven't really had a good time this week betting the games, but to your point, or to what you're insinuating, I believe, how about them Pelicans, baby? Getting the win and getting the cover against the Spurs, playing against the Clippers now, opening as a 4-point underdog. I think I'm leaning Pels a little bit. We'll get to the show tomorrow, but regardless of what happens in LA, what an atmosphere last night. What a time. What a win for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Fade the Clippers, just out of spite. Fade the Clippers. We'll get to plenty Pelicans talk, but it didn't feel right to introduce anything else in the show without just letting you have a picks, but I mean, the Smoothie King Center was on fire last night. It was a great atmosphere and a great game from the Pelicans.
And before we get to the daily spread, the last kind of observation I'll make is I was really nervous going into the game, not because the Spurs were more talented than the Pelicans, but just because of how overconfident I feel like the fan base was. But give the Pelicans some credit. They went in there, and despite the fact Brandon Ingram, one of their best players, was in foul trouble, they took care of business, and the Spurs made a little run towards the end, but it was never really in doubt, in my opinion.
So we will talk plenty of New Orleans Pelicans, San Antonio Spurs from last night. We'll talk about the first round of the play-in tournament as a whole and look forward now to round number 2 of the NBA play-in tournament as the 2 8 seeds are still up for grabs. A couple interesting college baseball lines I want to touch on, too, a little bit later on in the show. But for now, let's start how we start every show with our daily spread.
Daily spread. What are Mario and Musso watching tonight?
I'm talking about big money. Real big money.
This is our daily spread.
All right, Mario, let's go ahead. Do you want to get it started today?
Yeah, sure. Why not, man? My basketball picks have been terrible lately. I've been doing okay with baseball prop bets since this show started. We have a baseball prop bet, but I'm going to start with my first play, which is the Nationals over 4.5 runs versus the Pittsburgh Pirates this afternoon. That's at plus 105 odds, by the way, over 4.5 runs for DC. And the Nationals have struggled offensively to open the season if you look at the numbers, but a matchup with Pittsburgh's JT Brubacher might be just what this team needs. And just looking at the numbers here, not overthinking it, Brubacher gives up a lot of home runs. Among the 47 NL pitchers to throw at least 120 innings dating back to the beginning of last season, Brubacher has surrendered the most opponent home runs per 9 innings, 2.05 per 9. Also, his biggest weakness has been left-handed bats. In his final 10 starts of 2021, he gave up a .698 slugging percentage to left-handed batters. I'm not a baseball guy, but I know that number is obnoxious, and it's relevant when they're playing the Nationals, Musso, because DC has the best lefty hitter in all of baseball in Juan Soto, and at least 4 out of the 6 spots in the Nationals batting order will be filled by either left-handed batters or switch-hitting players in this game. And the bullpen for Pittsburgh has not been much better. They currently have a 4.58 ERA on the season. Again, just going by the numbers here, I like over 4.5 runs for the Nationals tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And fun fact, I've been to Nationals Park before. I thought it was pretty cool, but the one day I was there was the one day they decided to rest Bryce Harper. He was still on the team then, so was a little bummed out about that. But if you ever get a chance to visit Nationals Park, I would recommend that you do so.
You remember who pitched that day for the Nets?
It was not Max Scherzer.
Was it Strasburg, or was he hurt at that point too?
It was not Strasburg either.
Hurt.
It was someone I don't remember.
Well, bummer. That'd have been 2 pretty good arms to see. Okay. Continuing the baseball. So we got a little bit of a parlay here coming from me. No runs in the first inning parlay comes out to about plus 175. Your first game, Cardinals at Brewers. No runs scored in the first inning, minus 140. This one gets underway at 4:14 Central. You've got Adam Wainwright versus Brandon Woodruff. The Cardinals, they're off to a fast start in 2022, and Wainwright, the ageless wonder, Adam Wainwright, continues to shine. 6 shutout innings, no walks, 6 Ks on opening day versus the Pirates. Woodruff, look, I'll give it to you. He didn't have the same success. The Cubs got him pretty good, but he's one of the best arms on a Brewers team that's a favorite to win the NL Central and maybe even make a deep run in the postseason. So I'm expecting a bounce back today, and especially against that Cardinals lineup that he's had some success against. Only one player in today's starting 9 for St. Louis hits above 231 for their career off of Brandon Woodruff. So no run scored in the first inning there. That's minus 140. The second game, Braves, Padres, minus 165. No run scored in the first inning. 7-10 start. Charlie Morton, Joe Musgrove on the mound. The under in this game has been very popular. Both Morton and Musgrove coming off solid first outings of the season. For Charles Morton, 5 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts versus the Reds. For Musgrove, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, no walks, 8 Ks versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both of these lineups, have the potential to be pretty potent, but they've both kind of struggled consistently putting up runs from game to game. This is a very underrated pitching matchup as well on today's slate, Charles Morton and Joe Musgrove. So no runs scored in the first inning. Braves, Padres at minus 165. Cardinals at Brewers, it's minus 140 there. Parlayed them together, plus 175.
Adam Wainwright still kicking, huh? Got to be in his 40s.
Ageless wonder, man. The ageless wonder.
Gotta love it. We are going to talk about the Dodgers and their pitchers right now, Musso, but I don't think you're going to be as angry as we were yesterday, or as you were yesterday, because I want to talk about Walker Buehler and his total of 5.5 strikeouts for the Dodgers tonight versus the Reds. I got this at even money, plus 100, over 5.5 Ks for Walker Buehler, and that's a relatively low total when you consider that last year he went over that number in 19 out of his final 30 starts, and Buehler did only have 5 strikeouts back on opening day, but in that game, he just faced 22 batters and was limited to 78 pitches. Maybe he gets a little more leash today, not like Clayton Kershaw yesterday, but maybe Buehler will get a little bit more leash today and he can get over this number. I'm also looking at the opposition here for the Cincinnati Reds. So far, Cincinnati is number 4 in the MLB in strikeout rate. They strike out 26.3% of the time, more than a quarter of the time, ends in a strikeout for Cincinnati. They also come into this game with a league-high 31.1% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching, relevant for this matchup. And for 2022 as a whole, looked up some stats today and what they met, Musso. The Reds are in the top 10 in chase rate and swinging strike rate. So not a very disciplined team at the plate, the Cincinnati Reds, at least by the numbers. So no day off for Buehler today. Give me over 5.5 strikeouts for Walker Buehler and the LA Dodgers against the Cincinnati Reds.
Walker Buehler just better hope he doesn't have a perfect game or no-hitter going because Dave Roberts is going to pull him. He's actually already done that. Walker Buehler had a no-hitter going and was yanked for pitch count once under Dave Roberts. So, yeah, there's hope that doesn't happen.
So, genuinely curious. I'm a little bit more educated on the situation than I was yesterday. Has anybody asked Clayton Kershaw if he was okay with going out of the game?
They asked him. He gave the right answer that you're supposed to give of, we have bigger goals, and that's an individual accomplishment, and we have bigger goals in the season, want to win a World Series, and things like that, yada, yada, yada. Cool.
That's some
stupid.
Leave
him in.
I feel that, but that's some pretty heavy legacy stuff, man. Even relevant to their franchise. I mean, we were talking about it with Brian Haldane in the hallway. How many Dodgers fans were actually alive the last time that team had a perfect game? From Sandy Koufax, a legend of that franchise. So as far as legacy, if you care about that kind of thing, it is huge. But at least it sounds like Kershaw and the Dodgers kind of on the same page.
It was, yeah. There's no chance I'd have given you the baseball if I was Clayton Kershaw in that situation. But I'm not, obviously, not Clayton Kershaw.
As long as they leave Buehler in, he gets over 5.5.
There you go. I'm kind of with you. I'm surprised that number's a little low. And I mean, they're facing the Reds lineup not great, especially early on so far in this season. So Mario for you today, Walker Buehler over 5.5 strikeouts versus the Reds. He got it at even money. It's probably still hovering around there somewhere. And also Nationals over 4.5 runs at plus 105 versus the Pirates. On my end, a no runs in the first inning parlay, 2-game parlay at plus 175. Cardinals at Brewers and Braves at Padres are the 2 games involved in that. No runs in the first inning. Call that 6 outs to glory, Mario. 6 outs to glory.
You heard me gasping at your parlay.
I know. I'm kind of breaking one of my own rules, but we got to try to get back. We got to try to get back on the right Right path here, man. Get back on the horse.
We like it, man. And for what it's worth, I don't give out too many parlays because statistically they're just not very likely to hit. But if you are going to do a parlay, definitely don't go more than 3 legs. 2 legs is really where you should stop. But anything more than 3 legs, you're basically just burning money.
Yeah, you're asking for it at that point. Honestly, you really are. And same game parlays. It's kind of a place to hang around too.
Yes, 100%. Certain apps are better than others when it comes to that. But that's a conversation for another day.
That is true. We'll hit our first break here. We have we have some NBA to talk last night as the Pellies. The Pellies, they got it done over the Spurs. We'll recap the first round of the NBA play-in tournament as well as Pelican Spurs on the other side. It's Early Line, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the Early Line. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit dreams come true. And this year, we need your help more than ever.
We've interviewed these incredible kids, and each and every one of their stories brings tears to our eyes.
To have a dream granted means more to these families than you'll ever know.
And it wouldn't be possible without your help.
Dreams Come True has been hit hard by the events of the past year.
So we ask for your support in helping this incredible cause.
Our Dreams Come True Radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but 2 NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
Hey, look what I found!
The motivation I needed to live healthier. My new favorite sport.
I found my groove.
I found I'm part fish.
My second win when I needed it most.
I found more than a gym.
The affordable childcare this mom needed.
Time for myself. We found our why.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. It's game day. We're previewing LSU Arkansas Game 1 and recapping the Pels Spurs play-in. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Well, Musso, we've played 4 games in the NBA play-in. The Hawks will play the Cavs tomorrow for the right for 8th place in the Eastern Conference, and the New Orleans Pelicans advance to play the Clippers tomorrow for the right to 8th place in the Western Conference and a date with the Phoenix Suns in the first round of the playoffs. We'll give some thoughts on the Pels win over the Spurs yesterday. But first, real quick, looking at some trends here after 4 play-in games. The unders undefeated so far, Musso, 4-0 to the under after these 4 matchups. And all 4 favorites have won so far. The Pelicans, the Timberwolves, the Nets, the Hawks all get wins straight up. And those teams are also 3-1 against the spread. Looking at the leaderboard when it comes to betting favorites for the NBA title through 4 play-in games, the aforementioned Phoenix Suns are the betting favorite to win the title, followed by the Bucks, the Nets, and the Golden State Warriors. The play-in round has been a nightmare for my picks. As I told you, we'll get to the props in a second, but it's still been pretty fun, I guess, and the Pelicans are going on, so no complaints.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you mentioned the 3-1 against the spread by the 4 favorites there. Honestly, the Nets should have probably covered that game. I mean, the Cavs kicked the back door in there late in that one, but the Nets were in control the majority of the time. So it has definitely been very heavy chalk so far here in the play-in. And I mean, look, you look at it, just kind of going, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but looking a little bit towards tomorrow. I mean, seeing the Suns, seeing the Hawks on a short line as the favorite against the Cavs, I kind of lean there early. And yeah, I'm just not putting anything on the Clippers. So buy Clippers.
Yeah, the Hawks have a little bit of a juice right now, and I do have thoughts about Atlanta.
And they're at home again.
And they're at home again. The Atlanta Hawks, not the Atlanta Pigeons when they're on the road.
No.
But that's a conversation for tomorrow. I do want to talk about this big win for the New Orleans Pelicans, 113-103 over the San Antonio Spurs. They get the win, and they cover the -5. Unfortunately, like we said, my prop bets from yesterday go 1 and 2. I went with the under 26.5 points for C.J. McCollum, which in hindsight was a very stupid play. He had that at halftime. And honestly, Musso, based on what we've seen so far from C.J., I will say candidly that he is a better player than I thought the Pelicans were getting in that trade from Portland. Like, he is an excellent passer. He's really good at picking his spots. He's a 3-level scorer, can shoot the 3, can shoot the mid-range, can take it to the basket. And honestly, he is a better player than I thought the Pelicans were getting in that trade.
I mean, look, he just took the game over in the second quarter yesterday. I mean, I think once he got to 9 points in that quarter, I tweeted out, I said, yeah, this is now C.J. McCollum's game. Like, it's over. This is his game. He's taking it over, and he did. And I mean, ends up with 27 at half and 32, I believe, for the game. He was phenomenal. And the 3-pointer he hit off the Jose Alvarado steal right there before halftime that put the Pels up 59-48, I believe it was. I have it written down here.
They were up 11, I remember.
Yeah, I think it was 59-48. I mean, it set that arena on fire. Right? I mean, I thought the roof was going to blow off of it when that happened.
Dude, that play you're talking about was compounded by a steal before because the Spurs made a run. They cut it to 2 right there with around 3 minutes left in the half. And like you said, the Pelicans take an 11-point lead into the halftime locker room, and just some really good sequences there towards the end. And that play you're talking about, C.J. McCollum hit a 3 after Jose Alvarado got a steal. So the crowd's already in a fever pitch. They're already cheering. He flips it to C.J., who doesn't even hesitate, puts it in the net, and that was a big run for the Pelicans there towards the end of the half. We will talk about CJ and the performances from Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas as well. But speaking of Brandon Ingram, it was a heartbreaker for me with his assist total yesterday, man. It was at 5.5 assists for Brandon Ingram. He finishes with 5 in a game where he had some serious foul trouble. And B.I. still had a really good game, but unfortunately did not hit that number. But the one prop bet that did hit, and I texted you when this happened, over 10.5 points for Officer Herb Jones. He got it on the dagger dunk the dagger dunk to put the Pelicans up by 12 in the final minute. My man was stuck on 10 points for a long time, Musso. So I was really happy to see that dunk go down, not just because it put the Pelicans up for good, but because Herb made me a little bit of money in a playoff season where I made very, very little.
Not on Herb, man. Not on Herb. I mean, that was the exclamation point, that dunk at the end of the game. The job he did on DeJounte Murray was fantastic. Did we remember who shot he blocked towards the end of the first half? Was it Murray? I can't remember exactly who it was, but I mean, he had another great block. I mean, Herb Jones, just what he's brought to this team as a rookie, I really don't think it can be overvalued. He's just been that good for him, and it's been great. It was last night was a classic Pelicans win that you've seen this year. So many guys had their hand in it, whether it be CJ with the 32 or Jonas Valanciunas taking over in the third quarter. Brandon Ingram with his foul trouble closing the game out for you in the fourth quarter. Jose Alvarado did his thing. Herb Jones did his thing. They've just played so much better team basketball under Willie Green, man. And it's been a joy to watch, and you saw it last night.
You make a great point, man. It needed to be a team effort yesterday, not just from the young guys, Herb Jones, Jose. What they're doing is unbelievable, but the veterans as well. And I want to ask you could answer me after I go through these numbers, but who impressed you the most yesterday out of the trio of Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and CJ McCollum? Because all top, you would think it would be CJ. Right. He had the numbers, but I was really impressed with Brandon Ingram, man, because he was in foul trouble. He had some really bad sequences in that game, but he didn't really let it affect him towards the end, and he was big in that fourth quarter. He started the game really hot, 11 points in the first, then it stagnates a little bit. He has to hit the bench for a lot of the time, but he still finishes with 27 points on 11 for 19 shooting, and he had 10 points in the fourth quarter, did Brandon Ingram.
You know, you're right. Off the jump, you'd say CJ because, like I said, he took over the second quarter, right, and really allowed the Pelicans to extend the lead. But I'm kind of with you with Brandon Ingram because it's just kind of been something everybody's always wanted from him is to be that closer, and he was that last night, and that's huge, and that's a big step, I think, for him and for this team. I mean, it was very much a joint effort, but it's also hard to not say Jonas Valanciunas, man, because I mean he did really well on the boards. He attacked Pirtle a lot as well, and that I thought that was big too. Actually, is the job that he did on Pirtle, but not only that, New Orleans being able to get Murray and Pirtle into some early foul trouble with 2 each there early in the game, but. No, I think I mean I guess to be different, I'll say Jonas Valanciunas, but in reality, I'm with you on BI, man. I think that was just an incredibly impressive outing for him, and he wasn't limited at all. That was great to see. I mean, the reason he had to sit on the bench for that was because the foul trouble, but it wasn't because of the hamstring. I mean, he got up on that dunk early in the game, first quarter, cut the Spurs lead down to 1 early on in the game. And I mean, it's like, well, yep, that hamstring looks pretty darn good, doesn't it?
Yeah, got a little spring in his step, does Brandon Ingram. And you make a good point with Jonas, man, because they talk so much about the duo of BI and CJ, but I think it's a big three. It's a legitimate big three because Jonas Valanciunas has been really big down the stretch and some of the biggest wins of the season for the Pelicans, including this game. And when you look at that trio, BI, JV, CJ McCollum, before this game against the Spurs, those guys had only played 14 games together. So they have a lot of experience in the league. They've all been in the playoffs besides BI. But those three guys, despite the lack of chemistry, scored 81 out of the team's 113 points. And we ran through BI's numbers and CJ numbers. But Jonas Valanciunas, I think, is an underrated center in the NBA. He's somebody who a lot of the time starts the game slow, isn't really aggressive on offense early for whatever reason. But in the second half, he just gets it going. And he had 12 points in that third quarter against the Spurs when the Pelicans really needed to create some separation. So Jonas Valanciunas continues to be huge for this team.
He does. I mean, he's been a fantastic addition, and yeah, you saw everyone talk so much about what he did against the Spurs last year in the postseason with Memphis. I mean, it wasn't quite what I think it was the 23 and 22 he had in that game. Not sure, wasn't quite that, but I mean, he was good, and he was really good against them all year too. We talked about that. He averaged 17 and 12 in the 4 regular season games against the Spurs. So, I mean, look, he showed up to a night at the office and did what you expected out of him. So did CJ, so did BI. I mean, you think about this team potentially next year when they get Zion Williamson back and you can start to get excited about it.
I hate to say this and kind of feed into the ESPN narrative, although I'm going the opposite spectrum here. A lot of the talk around me at the seats in the stands were, imagine this team with Zion Williamson on it, man. Not just the team, but the environment in there. Zion yesterday didn't get to play, but he got to see a playoff atmosphere. Yes, it's not the playoffs, it's the play-in, but it was a playoff atmosphere last night. And the thought of Zion with these guys is really exciting. But going back to breaking down this game, the veterans were big, like we talked about, the trio of B.I. and CJ and Valanciunas, but the young guys stepped up as well, mainly Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado. Herb Jones had DeJounte Murray in hell yesterday, man. Completely put the clamps on him. And when Herb Jones was the nearest defender, this is according to NBA.com, DeJounte Murray shot 3 for 9 from the field. On the night, he finished with 16 points and 5 for 19 shooting from the field, including 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. Herb Jones is somebody who's really quiet, really mild-mannered usually, but yesterday he was talking smack. He was waving his finger. The block you described at the end of the first half, he actually started jawing with Greg Popovich a little bit because the Spurs thought the buzzer was going out. You didn't have to really block it and put it 5 rows in the stands, but I don't blame Herb for making that play. It's basketball instincts, right? And, of course, he's going to be a little juiced up. So it was nice to see the emotion from Herb Jones. That's nothing new. Or that is something new, but the defense we're seeing from him, the elite defense, is nothing new for the New Orleans Pelicans.
I like that type attitude. I really, really do. I'd like to see even more of that from the Pelicans, kind of a Pelicans against the world type mentality. I mean, it's you don't hear it about other NBA franchises on national TV where somebody's saying they should be moved out of their city. Like, that just doesn't happen. It happens to the New Orleans Pelicans. This happens to all, small market franchises where you don't want to see stars go there, but it feels like just with what David Griffin's been able to do, winning the lottery, getting Zion, then trading for CJ McCollum, it feels like you've heard it more from national talking heads about the Pelicans not wanting stars to go down there. I like seeing that attitude from them, and I loved seeing the atmosphere in that arena last night because, we talked about this pre-show. It feels like it's kind of become pretty personal with the Pelicans fan base. I saw at least 10, 15 different Twitter accounts just on my Twitter feed last night tweet the same thing. Don't ever let them tell you this is not a basketball city again. And it was accompanied by some picture of the crowd or some video of the atmosphere in that building. So it feels very personal, at least right now, for the fan base. And I'm okay with it kind of being personal with the team. Have that us against the world mentality, because the fact is what they're building does have the potential to win and could maybe be dangerous one day down the line.
They've just never really captured an identity as a team or as a franchise. That's the thing with that narrative with ESPN and the relationship between the city and the team. Like, every time that the team has been decent, there have been atmospheres like that. If you build it, they will come. That is true in New Orleans basketball. But I will tell you, this feels a little bit different. This doesn't feel like put together. You have a coach, not a recycled coach like an Alvin Gentry or a Stan Van Gundy. You have a coach that has grown with the team, and you have some really good young talent. I mean, Herb Jones is a second-round rookie who should have a better chance to win Rookie of the Year and should be at least on a second All-NBA defensive team. And then Jose Alvarado, undrafted. It started as a good story. It has now morphed into Jose Alvarado being the reason the Pelicans are winning some of these games. And before we go to break, I do need to commend David Griffin a little bit, because I was very critical of him a lot of times on this very set. And truth be told, he did a terrible job as lead executive the first 2 years with the Pelicans. But man, what an offseason this team had, dude. The trades for Jonas and for CJ, and then saying that you want to get better defenders on the team. You go out and get the ACC Defensive Player of the Year in Alvarado and the SEC Defensive Player of the Year in Herb Jones. And finally, the vision has kind of come true. And the first 2 years were really bad, a lot of instability. But David Griffin had an excellent offseason for this team. And now you see them starting to kind of reap the benefits.
So the Chalk had it, right? In round 1 of the NBA play-in tournament. Chalk had it against the spread and straight up. I'm curious to see what goes down in round number 2 as 2 8 seeds are up for grabs.
The Pelicans are a 4-point underdog against the LA Clippers. We'll talk about that game towards the end of the show. But on the other side of this break, talk a little bit of baseball as LSU heads to Arkansas to face the Razorbacks in a big series. That's on the other side of this break. This is The Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Fridays off the bench. Are you ready to flock up once again? Plus, we'll recap game 1 of LSU Arkansas. How did Jay Johnson's squad fare in their trip to Fayetteville? Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here on Early Line, give us some college baseball tonight, Mario. There's a couple games I'm interested in from a betting standpoint for sure. Obviously, look, we'll talk about LSU heading up to Arkansas. We can start there. The Tigers are coming back even money right now on the money line in this game. So, look, that's a really good sign, I think, for what the books think about LSU in this series as a whole. I mean, Arkansas is a favorite, but a slight favorite, and it shows you how well LSU's been playing up to this point. This is going to be a very intriguing matchup this weekend, to say the least. Arkansas is still very good, albeit not as dominant as they were last season in the regular season, and really even 2019 or 2018. I mean, this has been a really incredible 3-year run for Dave Van Horn and the Arkansas Razorbacks. I mean, being a dropped foul ball away from winning a natty in 2018 to being really good in 2019, and again, the best team in college baseball throughout the regular season last year. So it sets up to be a really fun matchup tonight for LSU. Again, they're even money. If you want to take a shot on them, we were talking a little bit before the show about what they can do just in the series as a whole. What are their chances of getting greedy and taking 2 out of 3 here? And I told you, I think, look, if they get tonight, I think they will win the series. If they don't get tonight, I think you're looking at probably stealing one game. But it's just a very interesting line, I think, because it shows you that the books are putting a little bit of respect on LSU to be even money underdog here.
Might be some good value for LSU, and what a stretch it would be if they can go 4-0 in 4 games against Mississippi State and Arkansas, all on the road, which is where LSU has dominated recently for whatever reason. But they've also dominated against Arkansas historically. Like you said, the last 2 series, Arkansas won against LSU in 2019 and in 2021, but historically, LSU dominates these meetings. They lead the all-time series with Arkansas 75-36. Despite the fact that Arkansas has taken the last 2, LSU has won 13 out of the past 16 and 7 out of the past 9 SEC regular season series versus the Razorbacks. So this is a rivalry I've enjoyed. You also had the Rally Possum a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
And if memory serves me correctly, LSU I think made a bigger comeback the next season in Fayetteville.
They did. It wasn't a bigger comeback, but it was another multi-run comeback. I think it started in the 8th. I think it was Jax Biggers for Arkansas that committed an error. Kramer Robertson hit an infield grounder on the infield, and it got thrown away at first. I think it was Jax Biggers. Maybe not. I could be wrong with that. But that sparked it, and they ended up coming back and winning that game.
And we'll get
back
the
series.
And we'll get back to this game in a moment. But you saying that they had a national championship won, and they just dropped that fly ball, or they misplayed the fly ball, I believe. They had like 3 guys going for the ball, and none of them ended up catching it. That is rough. Like, that has to be rough to be an Arkansas fan and go through that. And you're a Saints fan, so you've gone through some heartbreaking finishes in stages like that, but at least you know the Saints have won a championship before. Like, imagine if you're Arkansas and that was your one chance and you blew it on that stage. That's historically a really good program, but that has to be rough for the Razorbacks.
I mean, yeah, and it's hard to get there. Like, it's hard to get to the championship series. It's not easy. They haven't been back since. So, I mean, and they've had really good teams. I mean, again, last year's team, they didn't make it to Omaha, and that was arguably the best team in college baseball all year. So, it should be a great one. I mean, but again, looking at tonight's matchup specifically, Mikal Hilliard versus Connor Nolan for Arkansas, you feel good if you're LSU having Mikal Hilliard go on the bump. I mean, look, he's tied up just about everybody he's faced this year. And again, always look for that curveball for a strike early in the game. That tells you if he's on or not. His job is what it's been his entire career. Go out there, keep LSU in the ball game, throw up zeros, because it's going to be a bit of tough sledding against Connor Nolan tonight. Man, he's having the best season of his career. He doesn't really give you much. Everything you're going to get is earned. Everything you're really going to get against the Arkansas pitching staff as a whole is earned. But LSU absolutely has a shot tonight if Mikal Hilliard goes out there and keeps you in the game, because even if you don't convert all your opportunities early, you know what this LSU team is. It's a lineup that you cannot hold totally down for 9 innings. They will score late. They will make a run. It's just, has your pitching kept you in the game enough to that point for it to matter? So far this year, more often than not, LSU's pitching has. So looking at them at even money, why not? I mean, why not? I mean, you can double your money. Why not take LSU tonight against the Hogs? I think they have a good shot tonight. I think they have a good shot this weekend. I think the bullpens are going to be the key, at least for me, LSU's bullpen has been very good. It's been one of the strengths of the team. Arkansas's bullpen has been very good, especially the back end, which is going to make it interesting for LSU to score late. But especially the back end of Arkansas's bullpen, they're tied for first in the league with 10 saves out of the back end of that pen. So whichever bullpen can hold it together, that team's going to win, because I think you could see some shaky starting pitching throughout the rest of the weekend. Maybe not tonight. But LSU at even money, man, I do. I like it. I think they got a good shot to win the series.
I do too. And to your prior point, just what we've seen from LSU offensively might be enough for me to make a play here, because looking at the numbers between Mikhail Hilliard and Nolan tonight, Mikhail has a 4.11 ERA, but he still has a 3-0 record. Nolan has a 5-1 record, 2.61 ERA. And when you look at the numbers for LSU offensively, they're pretty much what has been advertised for Jay Johnson throughout his career, right? His teams get a lot of hits, they score a lot of runs, and LSU is near the top of the conference in a lot of offensive categories. They are number 2 in batting average, number 2 on base percentage, number 2 in runs scored, and number 2 in RBIs. And LSU right now, if you look at all those numbers, they're basically second to Tennessee in every category, and that's nothing to sneeze at right now. So like you said, the bullpen will be a big factor, the rotation will be a big factor, but LSU offensively has been raking.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee is just on another planet offensively right now.
They lost, though, right?
They did. They played with wood bats against Tennessee Tech, and they lost that game 3-2.
I didn't even know there was a Tennessee Tech.
Yes, there is.
I've heard of Middle Tennessee State. I've heard of a lot of directional schools.
Their colors are purple and gold, actually. I think their mascot's some type of bird. I can't remember exactly what it is. But, also one more note about the pitching matchup tonight. Arkansas has won all of Connor Nolan's SEC starts. LSU has won all of Mikhail Hilliard's SEC starts. Something's kind of got to give tonight, right? So, I mean, you should have a really tight game, a really good one tonight in Fayetteville. LSU coming back even money in that one on the money line. Now, one other one that intrigues me tonight, Mario, in the SEC, Auburn. The Auburn Tigers, man, they have surprised a lot of people, myself included, so far this year, up to number 14 in the country, really hovering around anywhere in the teens right now, ranked wise, tied for second in the SEC West with LSU and Alabama. They're heading to Mississippi State this weekend, and Auburn tonight is a slight underdog in this game, minus 105. So not quite even money, but almost there. State a slight favorite. I like Auburn as an underdog in this game. They have won the last 3 Friday nights in the conference, 3 out of 4 total, but the last 3, and all 3 of those behind Hayden Mullins, the lefty. He'll be on the mound again tonight. That formula has worked out well for them. Hayden Mullins, get it to Carson Swilling, then Blake Burkhalter, go from there. You know about State's offense. They can pop the ball out of the yard, but you also know about their pitching staff, and they're making a change tonight. Brandon Smith's going to go, and he did pitch really well against LSU on Saturday, but pitching staff is State's Achilles heel this year. Just the injuries, it's been a lot, and you will have opportunity. You know what Auburn's lineup is. If you're an LSU fan, you've already seen it. It is one of the best in this conference, and they should be able to put up plenty runs against Mississippi State. Can their pitching hold it together? Recently, it has. I mean, and Auburn also, like LSU, has been very, very good on the road. They've won 3 of, I believe it's 3 of their. No, I'm sorry. No, actually, I'm sorry. I believe it's 3 of their 4 series wins this year have already come on the road. So. It's a team that thrives there. I like Auburn as the underdog. I think they have the better offense. I think what you've seen pitching staff-wise with Hayden Mullins on Friday night has been good. And to the point, Mississippi State has won only 1 of the Friday night games so far in SEC play and has lost 2 straight. Auburn, minus 105. I think the wrong team's favored here on the at Duty Noble. I like Auburn.
I would agree with you. Based on what we've seen from Mississippi State and their record a year after winning the national championship, I'm also a little surprised to see the Tigers, the Auburn Tigers, as an underdog here. And I'm also a little surprised, now that I step back and think about it, Auburn football has been surpassed by baseball and basketball both, objectively, in my opinion. Like, both of those programs are on the rise right now. Auburn football has not done too much recently. That's just something interesting that popped into my head hearing you all talk about the season Auburn's had so far.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, Alabama so far to this point in the season in baseball has been better than I think many expected. They're ranked in a couple polls now.
And, don't tell me that.
And tied. Well, they haven't hit the meat of their schedule yet, so we'll see when they hit the meat of the schedule. But they've certainly come on a little strong. I mean, you're looking forward to the NCAA tournament, and you could see 11 of the 14 teams in the SEC get in this year. I mean, it's like realistically right now, I mean, you're at the halfway point of the conference schedule. You got a long way left to go, but I mean, realistically, you could see 11 teams get in the NCAA tournament from the SEC this year.
Yeah, just looking at the standings, Mississippi State, just like both the Alabamas are a little higher than we would expect. Both the Mississippis are at the barrel of the standings right now. Ole Miss and Mississippi State both 4-8 in conference play. You would think they're going to be able to turn it around throughout the course of an entire SEC schedule, but Auburn's got a little bit of juice. They are in third place right now behind LSU and Arkansas. Alabama right there with an identical 7-5 record. And then Texas A&M just kind of chilling 6-6. They love going 500. And every sport apparently does Texas A&M.
That's the name of the game.
A little bit of a log jam in the standings. So it should be a fun baseball season over in the SEC.
Should be. So there you go. Just LSU coming back even money tonight against Arkansas. Maybe worth a little sprinkle there on the Tigers. And Auburn, -105. Underdog against State. I like Auburn. So we're going to grab a break, come back, close out early line on the other side, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The early line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. The Baton Rouge Clinic brings you the 2022 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Help make a dream come true for a Louisiana child with a life-threatening illness today by making your donation at 1045ESPN.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Kids have staked out their place at Ochsner Medical Complex The Grove, where more than 30 pediatricians and pediatric specialists are all conveniently located under one roof, so you can spend less time driving and more time keeping your kids well. Yes! It's no wonder kids call dibs at The Grove. Ochsner Health Center for Children.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA certified techs. Family owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years. Front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front-to-Back Boat Service.
Hey, look what I found!
The motivation I needed to live healthier. My new favorite sport.
I found my groove.
I found I'm part fish.
My second win when I needed it most.
I found more than a gym.
The affordable childcare this mom needed. Time for myself. We found our why.
Have you found yours?
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. It's game day. We're previewing LSU Arkansas Game 1 and recapping the Pels Spurs play-in. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up the show here on a Thursday, and as we get to our Citizens Bank poll of the day, we'll talk a little bit of football, Musso, or at least football-related items. Haven't done that in a while. And the question posed to the audience today was, are Notre Dame fans / media being salty about the Brian Kelly situation, his departure for Notre Dame and his arrival to LSU? 91.1% of the audience says yes, their fans are being salty. 9% of the audience says no. Nick Diaz, local YouTuber, in response to the poll, asked, is the Pope Catholic? So, of course, Notre Dame fans and media are salty.
They absolutely are. I mean, it is kind of been a very ugly breakup on their end. I really don't think Brian Kelly. I guess Brian Kelly has taken maybe you want to classify them as shots. I just think the guy's answering questions honestly about the differences in the program, and they're in their feelings about it because it kind of shows them where their program really is right now. But
their feelings, that's the thing. Like, from their point of view, of course, you could see how they're salty. I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm going to advocate for Satan a little bit here, Brian Kelly not only left the job as the all-time winningest coach in the history of Notre Dame, but he left it in the middle of the season when they had a top 5 ranking. And I get why he did it. LSU needed to get the ball rolling on the new season, recruiting class, all that stuff. But if you're a Notre Dame fan, or take it a step further, you're a Notre Dame player or an ex-player like Brady Quinn, who has very strong opinions about this, of course you're going to be a little bit salty.
Well, I mean, Brady Quinn, his one game against LSU didn't go very well either. But, it's hard to hear. It's hard to hear that this guy left you to go win a national championship.
I think Brady Quinn's still salty about his NFL career.
To Taylor's point, you know how you remember stuff from your childhood, but you only remember like certain...
Too easy. Go ahead.
You know how you remember memories from your childhood, but only certain things you remember like really vividly, like certain moments? I have very hazy memories of the 2006 draft party at the Saints facility. And obviously, that's when they drafted Marcus Colston. They drafted Reggie Bush. I will never forget the reaction of the crowd when they drafted Reggie Bush. But I will also never forget the constant bickering amongst everybody there of when is Brady Quinn going to get picked. It was just a constant stream of not picking Brady Quinn, not picking Brady Quinn. Eventually, he goes to the Browns, and to Taylor's point, didn't really have a good NFL career. But he's a decent analyst.
He went to the Browns. I mean, that's really kind of not his fault. It's a terrible organization.
Yeah. I think he's a decent analyst.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not going to put all that on Brady Quinn, but it's just, look, that's hard, man, to hear that this guy took you to a national championship game in the BCS and then to 2 playoff appearances. None of those went well, but if you're a fan, you still feel like you're on the doorstep. So to hear leaving to win a championship and that he doesn't feel like he can do it there, yeah, I imagine that would hurt. And look, Brian Kelly hadn't, come right out and said that as blatantly, but he's said it in other ways, and he's right. He's not lying.
I think the only time that they were extreme about the criticism of Brian Kelly was when he was dancing and doing everything with the recruits. And the one tight end, I remember, ended up going to Alabama, which was a big L for Brian Kelly. But that was definitely a little bit too much for me. Like, that was some pure saltiness. He's having fun at that point at his new job, and he's very excited to be at LSU. But this is something that's going to keep going, unfortunately, as we continue the offseason here.
And it's going to be really bad whenever he does win at LSU. And then they're really going to be in their feelings about it.
Musso feeling confident here on the onset of the Brian Kelly era.
The last 3 coaches have won national championships. He'll win big at LSU.
These are facts, and the facts about LSU winning the championships. We'll see if he wins big. Does Brian Kelly? We wanted to talk about the Pelicans and Clippers here, but we'll save that for tomorrow's show. New Orleans, a 4-point underdog against L.A. We'll get a pick on that game from Musso and I. We'll be back tomorrow from 2 to 3 p.m. For now, stay tuned for After Further Review and Matt Moscona. He's coming up next, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.